Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. My name is Hilmi Zaki Andhika. I'm from class 3C. My name is 222-322-0085. Today, I want to explain to you about the material about multilingual English. So, without further ado, let's start the presentation. Okay, the first is we have to learn about the word what is multilingual. Where is this multilingual word come from, and what is the meaning of multilingual? Okay, so first, multilingual is most commonly used to describe someone who speak or understand multiple languages, especially someone who can speak several languages with some level of fluency. It can also be used to describe things that involve or that are written or spoken in multiple languages. As in, this menu are multilingual. They are written in 7 different languages. Someone who speaks 2 languages is multilingual, but the term is most often used to describe someone who speaks more than 3 languages. Since the term bilingual is commonly used to describe someone who speaks 2 languages, and trilingual is used to describe someone who speaks 3 languages, the ability to speak multiple languages or the use of multiple languages is called multilingualism. So, where does multilingual word come from? Okay, so the first records of the word multilingual come from the 1830s. Is composed of multi meaning many or multiple, and lingual, which means pertaining to languages. Lingual shares a root with other languages related words like linguistic and linguaphile. Some people who are multilingual may be masters of all the languages they speak. In this case, they're often called polyglots. But a person might be described or describes themselves as multilingual even if they are not fluent in all of the languages they can speak. Most multilingual people have differing level of fluency for each languages they know. Countries are often described as multilingual when they have 2 or more official or widely used languages. India, for example, is one of the most multilingual countries, with more than 20 official languages and at least 100 others, as well as hundreds of dialects. So these are examples of multilingual use in real life. You can see in this example, you can see that the menu it's have seven yes 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 different languages. Well, it's called multilingual because uh, the menu have 7 different languages, uh, and we can go back of multilingual meaning. It multilingual meaning used to describe someone who can speak or understand multiple languages, as I speak in the first PPT. You can rewind it. So the example is this. You can zoom it. You can uh, try to understand it, because this multilingual is quite hard to me. And I understand a little bit about the multilingual, because the person who can speak or understand multiple language is called multilingual, right? And multilingual itself mean that a person who can speak or understand multiple languages. Okay, so uh, and the menu, what the related to the menu, that the example um, that I bring to you here. So the example is like in first PPT. You can see it can also be used to describe things that involve or that are written or spoken in multiple languages. Like this, as in this menu are multilingual. They written in 7 different languages. Okay, if you understand what is multiple languages are, okay, so we can move on to next we can move on to the main course about multilingual English. We already know what multilingual is, what the word multilingual mean, what the multilingual word come from, and and etc. So you already know what English is, aren't you? The English is a language. English is a language that we use to communicate to, like this PPT is written by English. I am talking about English. So if we know what English is, okay, so we can move on to the next uh, PPT about multilingual English. So multilingual English. Multilingual English. What is it? What is multilingual English? Okay. Well, multilingual English refers to the use of English in a multilingual context, where English is spoken alongside one or more other languages. This often happens in regions or communities where multiple languages are spoken, and English is used as a means of communication or as an additional languages alongside the local languages. Okay, so if you understand the what is multilingual English, so I will explain to you the short about multilingual English. Multilingual English is uh, yeah it can be also mean that multilingual English is when we speak English, also we add another language in that. Okay, so for instance, okay, so we move to the next slide. Example of multilingual English. Okay, so first, code switching. People might switch between languages within the same conversation using English for some part and another language for others. For instance, someone might say, I went to the store to buy some grocery, tapi saya lupa daftarnya. Tapi saya lupa daftarnya means, but I forget the list in Indonesia. So, you got what I mean, right? It's a language that an English language and add with another language. So, like this first example, the language, the English language is add with Indonesian language, so it's called multilingual English. Okay, that's the first example. Okay, let's move on to the second example. Okay, is a loan words. Is a loan words. S is say loan is mean borrowed. Okay, borrowed words and phrases from other languages may be incorporated into English. For example, Rendezvous from French or Schadenfreude from German. Okay, next example number 3. Pidgins and Creole languages. These are simplified languages that develop when speakers of different native languages need to communicate. Some of them incorporate elements of English, such as Pidgin English or Jamaican patois. Okay, next, for example number 4. Sorry. Example number 4 is a bilingual signage. In multilingual area, sign and public information may be presented in both the local languages and English to accommodate diverse people and diverse population. Sorry. Okay. The last example, it's called multilingual communities in place with mix of languages. Residents may use English as a lingua franca for communication, even if it's not their native languages. Okay, so that are the example of multilingual English. So you can see that in all the example, we can conclude that the multilingual English is English that are used with another language, and in the first example we can know that, and in the second example we can know also that we can borrow some another language to add to our conversation, like Schadenfreude in Germany, like I said before in the second example. Where we can use English and another languages, we can add another languages in our English conversation, and that's called multilingual English. So it in Indonesia is it's in Indonesia we commonly use the multilingual English. We also seperti saya sering menambahkan bahasa Indonesia dalam kalimat bahasa Inggris saya seperti ini. So that called multilingual English. Okay, so you understand. Okay, if you understand what the multilingual English mean, okay, so we move on to the next. The next is conclusion. Before we end this presentation, let's go to the conclusion. All right, the conclusion is, in conclusion, multilingual English refers to the incorporation of elements from other languages, like I said, into the English languages, or the use of English alongside other languages in diverse linguistic contexts. Okay, this phenomenon reflects the dynamics and adaptable nature of language, especially in regions or communities where multiple languages coexist. Multilingual English can involve code switching, borrowing words and phrases, creating pidgins or Creole languages, bilingual signage, and the use of English as a lingua franca. It exemplifies the ability of languages to evolve and adapt to the needs of multicultural and multilingual societies, facilitating communication and cultural exchange. Okay, so that's all for my presentation. Thank you for you who listening until now. I appreciate it a lot. I love you, I think, because okay. So thank you for listening. Thank you for your attention. I end up this presentation, and assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Goodbye everyone.